Hey everyone, welcome to Judging for the Win. I'm Dave, and this is my daily ruling. Today's question was suggested by a viewer. Thanks to Die Goblin for this one. Amy has Academy Loremaster. At what point does she decide whether she wants to draw an additional card using its ability or not? Specifically, when she's making that decision, is it before or after she knows what card she's drawing for her normal draw for the turn? Okay, so in order to answer this question, we're going to need to know a little bit about how magic turns are structured. Specifically, during your draw step, before you do anything else, even putting triggered abilities on the stack, you have to complete the turn-based action of drawing your card for the turn. And so that's the answer to our question. Because you don't even put the triggered ability from the Loremaster on the stack, let alone let it resolve, which is when you actually do make that decision, until after the turn-based action of drawing your card has been completed, that means you definitely would know what card you're drawing for turn at the time when you're making the decision for Academy Loremaster. Alright, so that was a pretty straightforward question, and so I wanted to throw something else as a little bonus in there for our more advanced viewers. So let's say that Amy wants to draw an additional card with Academy Loremaster. However, there's some replacement effect out there that replaces that draw with something else. Do Amy's spells still cost 2 more to cast? So in order to answer this question, we're first going to take a look at this rule here, which indicates that for abilities that are worded like Academy Loremasters, the drawing a card is actually a cost that you pay as part of the resolution of that ability. And we can also see that the language "if you do" specifically refers to whether the player chose to pay that cost. And it doesn't matter if the thing that happens when you pay the cost actually gets turned into something different by a replacement effect. The game still knows that you chose to pay that cost, and so the game is still going to put the "if you do" into effect. So that means that no matter what replacement effect Amy is using to replace that draw, whether it's something that includes drawing a card itself, such as Thought Reflection, or maybe includes something that kind of looks like drawing a card but technically doesn't count, such as Abundance, or even something that specifically prohibits drawing a card, like what we see with Possessed Portal, the answer for all of these is exactly the same, which is that Amy, if she says that she's drawing an extra card, is going to have to pay 2 additional for all the spells that she casts that turn. Now, this is the part where I think there's a really interesting twist, because there is actually some other kind of similar effects that work a little bit differently. As you can see with our friend Spirit of the Labyrinth here, it says that a player cannot draw more than 1 card in a turn. Recall from our earlier discussion that the normal card that you draw during your draw step always happens first. So that means that presumably there's no way that you would be able to actually get to draw another card with Academy Loremaster. So with that being the case, that means that it's not possible for you to legally choose to draw an additional card with Academy Loremaster's ability if there's a Spirit of the Labyrinth out. And that means that even if you wanted to make your spells cost 2 extra, it would not be possible for you to do so under those circumstances. Now, I think this is extremely interesting, because even the game rules suggest that these can't effects, like what you see on Spirit of the Labyrinth, and replacement effects work very similarly, and function almost identically in the game. This is one specific example of a time where the game actually does handle them differently. And I was really excited when I saw this, because this is, as far as I know, one of the only ways that this distinction can actually come up in a real-life example. I couldn't come up with any other things off the top of my head where this sort of distinction would actually come up and change the answer to a ruling. So I thought that was really cool. But that's all I have for you today. How did you do? Join me again next time for a very special DDR number 500. But until then, I hope you have a great day.